Just one presidential voice can trigger a cascading wave of devastation across the world. On 2nd April 2025, Donald Trump announced his presidential tariffs. He imposed tariffs on more than 90 countries, and in his typical dramatic way, he said, "No more."
Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right.
In his opinion, the rest of the world has been looting America for a long time. America, the richest country in the world, was being ripped off by the rest of the world.
But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
Once he announced this, share markets all over the world crashed. Within a week, trillions of dollars were lost, and the world is in danger of a global recession. Monday, the 7th of April, was the worst day for the stock market. Whether in Hong Kong or Taiwan, China or Japan, Germany or the UK, the US or India, the stock market fell drastically everywhere. The strange and childish way that things have been handled here can be seen from this example. On 2nd April, Donald Trump imposed a 34% tariff on China. 2 days later, in response to this, China imposed 34% tariffs on America. Trump did not like this, so he told China to withdraw their newly imposed tariffs. If they don't, he said that he will impose another 50%.
That tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock. We're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on.
But China is adamant on its stance, and on 9th April, America imposes a further 50% tariff on China. And in response to this, China imposes another 50% tariff on America. And so, these two countries are engaged in a game of tit-for-tat. This trade war is hidden from no one. But what exactly are tariffs? Why is Trump doubling down on a strategy that economists warn could backfire? Before you move on, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to 10-Minute Quest. To understand the real story, you will need to understand two terms. One is recession, and the other is depression. Both indicate economic downturns, but there's a big difference between the two. A recession will slow down the economy of a country for a short period of time. After a few months or a year, it will recover on its own. In the meantime, people lose jobs, businesses and trade decrease, and people reduce their spending. You can see many recessions in a very short period of time. The global financial crisis that was seen in 2008-9 was a recession, so don't be fooled. Recessions are not very good things. They completely ruin the state of the economy. However, depression is its bigger brother. It comes for many years in a row, and when it comes, it completely paralyzes the economy of a region or country, as happened in 1929 when the American stock market crashed and the American Great Depression was seen, which lasted for 10 years. In the midst of a depression, unemployment and poverty are said to be at their peak, along with the results of trade and commerce. Now we understand what Donald Trump has been doing recently. A few days ago, he said that when a product is imported from outside the United States, a 10% baseline tariff or basic duty will have to be paid on it. Apart from this, about 60 countries are imposing additional rates and reciprocal tariffs or counter tariffs. This is different from the baseline tariff, and this is compared to a trade war. Now, countries are not fighting with guns, but fighting with trade tariffs. The baseline tariff has been effective since April 5th, and the reciprocal tariff started on April 9th. The European Union have imposed 20% tariffs on the fact that 24 to 25% tariffs have been imposed on countries like Korea and Japan, proving that Trump is not considering friends or enemies when imposing tariffs, and he is imposing a 104% tariff on China. Instead, China imposed a 34% tariff in return, which they later increased to 84%. Many others are playing defensively. But in the meantime, news came that America is suspending tariffs imposed on all countries except China for 90 days. But this is throwing the whole world into a different kind of uncertainty. For example, the immediate reaction to these has been seen, but already the collapse in the stock market on April 7th was nothing. The scale of the collapse in India is so terrible that within 20 seconds of the start of trading in the market, investors' market capitalization has decreased by 241 billion US dollars. The country's main stock market index, Sensex, has fallen by 4,000 points. The previous day, on Sunday, the Saudi Arabian stock market lost more than 133 billion US dollars in market value. The market price of Saudi Aramco has decreased by more than 91 billion US dollars. Meanwhile, the stock markets of Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain have also seen a decline. Earlier last week, the US stock market lost more than $6 trillion in market value. To check whether a recession is happening, you must first see whether the economy is growing. In the first quarter of 2025, the U.S. GDP growth was shown to be only 0.3%, which is about March 31st. The announcement of tariff increases on April 2nd is coming. Can this growth, which is close to negative, increase any further now? This is an important question. In the fourth quarter of 2024, growth was about 2.3%, but now it is 0.3%. Secondly, to see what consumers are thinking, a survey is published every 2 weeks on this matter. A recent survey by the University of Michigan shows that consumer sentiment has dropped to the lowest level in March 2025 after 2022. Thirdly, to see whether employment is being created. Here, America has certainly given a good surprise. About 228,000 new jobs were created in the country in March. This is again not indicating a recession or slowdown, but since the impact of tariffs is being felt on the economy in April, we have to see here. Are people losing their jobs and becoming unemployed? Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve of America is laying off many people from their jobs. And for many other reasons, the people of America are protesting on the streets, which is known as hands of protest. If this continues, the situation will be very bad. U.S. investment bank J.P. Morgan is saying that if this tariff system is in place, a recession may be seen in the United States and other countries this year. According to their calculations, the price of consumer goods in America may increase by about 2% in 2025. Research house Morningstar is saying that Trump's decision on tariffs is an economic disaster that America has imposed on itself. S&P was saying in the global March that the chance of a recession in America is 25%. Now, they are increasing it to 30 to 35%. Goldman Sachs' analysis says that the chance of a recession in America next year is like 45%. JP Morgan has already said that the chance of a global recession starting this year is 60%. Steve Kokon, chief economist for the Asia-Pacific region of Morris Analytics, is saying, very soon, a recession will begin in America, and it could last for a long time. And a long time means that we may see one of the rarest events in the world. UK-based research house Capital Economics believes that inflation in America could go above 5%. U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says that inflation in the USA will increase, economic growth will slow, and unemployment will increase significantly. Let us explain this time that Trump is announcing a 90-day tariff suspension, which could create even bigger problems. Nobel laureate economist Paul Krugman gave this explanation in an interview. Didn't tariffs exist before? Before Donald Trump, America had imposed tariffs on other countries, but at that time, businessmen never had to think about this. U.S. President Donald Trump has imposed the most severe tariffs in the last 100 years, covering the largest area, making it seem impossible to avoid a recession. This policy has created an uncertain situation for businessmen, as they are not sure what percentage of the tariff on their product will be imposed tomorrow. The fluctuation of tariffs creates a very bad economic condition, as seen in the Great Depression around 1929 to 30. Various analyses show that the value of the dollar is decreasing after the imposition of tariffs, and along with the dollar, the price of gold is also falling. The price of a barrel of Brent crude oil is falling from $75 to $66, and the price of copper has also fallen. After the tariffs came into effect on the 9th, the price of oil fell to $60, which is the lowest since February 2021, while COVID was going on. Oil and copper are considered barometers of global economic health. So the fall in the price of these two things is undoubtedly a warning. After Trump announced the suspension of the tariff plan for 90 days on April 9th, the stock market bearish again, showing that the price of oil and gold is increasing again. There are two types of stocks: cyclical stocks, which perform well when the economy is good, and defensive stocks, which do not increase much in price or perform much, such as food, household goods, healthcare, and utilities. Investors generally invest more in these types of stocks and get a fairly good profit. The Prime Minister of Singapore gave an interesting statement about this. He states that the last time there was a trade war on such a large scale, it caused armed conflicts that eventually resulted in the Second World War. It's getting more and more difficult to predict what will happen next. The global economy is going through quite an unpredictable time, and Donald Trump's behavior is responsible for this unpredictability. A recent survey of CEOs of various companies by American news channel CNBC found that 69% of them believe a recession may be seen this year. 3/4 of them believe this recession will not be serious, but will be moderate or mild. 37% of CEOs who participated in the survey say that employees may have to be laid off this year. Despite the fear of a recession, economists predict that the European Union and the United Kingdom will experience one in the future. Unemployment may increase in 12 to 18 months, and most of what was predicted. However, if the suspension of the tariff announcement is extended further and the tariff plan is withdrawn completely later, America and the world may be able to avoid a recession. Whether you see Trump's tariffs as economic patriotism or a dangerous gamble, one thing's clear: the world is watching. Will this reshape American industry or unravel decades of trade progress? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe to 10 Minute Quest for more content.